For months, she walked the hallways like a shadow, unnoticed, unheard, and underestimated. But every silent step was a calculation, every lowered gaze a choice. Because Maya Rodriguez wasn't just some shy, quiet girl. She was trained, not metaphorically, not dramatically, but literally trained. By a man who had survived wars, who had taught her to wait, to watch, and when necessary, to strike. Maya didn't need the spotlight. In fact, she had mastered how to avoid it. She wore the same 3 faded hoodies on repeat, tied her dark hair back in a practical ponytail, and spoke only when spoken to. At Riverside High, where popularity was currency and silence was social death, Maya lived like a ghost. Not by accident, but by design. Her classmates assumed the obvious. She was just another new girl, an immigrant, awkward and invisible, someone who didn't fit in. What they didn't see, what they couldn't know, was that Maya had spent her childhood learning survival tactics from a man who breathed discipline. Sergeant Major Carlos Rodriguez, her father. Keep your head down. Observe everything. Don't reveal what you're capable of unless there's no other way. She carried those words like armor. Riverside High was textbook suburban. The air always smelled faintly of reheated pizza and pencil shavings, and the same hierarchies had ruled since middle school. The star athletes at the top, the overlooked kids at the bottom, and everyone else orbiting somewhere in between. Maya arrived mid-year, after her mother accepted a position at the local hospital. No fanfare. No welcome. It began subtly, the way cruelty often does. Jake Morrison was the first to notice her. 6 feet tall, quarterback, always surrounded by his entourage. His confidence wasn't earned. It was inherited from years of admiration and unchecked arrogance. His blonde hair never moved out of place. His voice always carried across the hall like it was his stage. "Watch where you're going, Rodriguez." He'd smirked after she brushed past him by accident. Maya apologized, barely above a whisper. But Jake's grin had sharpened, like he'd found his new toy. What followed wasn't immediate violence. It was erosion, shoulder bumps, books knocked from her hands, cruel jokes just loud enough for her to hear. Comments about her accent, her clothes, her silence. Ashley Williams, queen bee of the cafeteria, made sport of belittling her. Does she even own a mirror? Guess hospital salaries don't include wardrobe upgrades. Every time Maya clenched her fists under the lunch table, her father's voice echoed louder. Do not engage, do not escalate, blend in, survive. And so she did. She bit her tongue when water was spilled over her assignments. She swallowed her fury when no teacher intervened. Even the students who winced at the bullying said nothing. Silence was safer than sympathy. One afternoon, her English teacher, Mrs. Patterson, a woman with tired eyes and a kind voice, stopped her after class. "Maya, you seem withdrawn. Are you okay?" Maya forced a smile. "Just focused on my studies." She wasn't lying. She was focused, on enduring. But pressure builds, and every pressure has a breaking point. It came on an ordinary Tuesday, the kind of day that would be forgotten by most, except for Maya. She was walking up the stairs between classes, her bag heavy with textbooks, when someone shoved her from behind. 12 concrete steps. That's how far she fell. A blur of pain. Her shoulder slammed into the landing, her forehead scraped the wall. Her vision spun as gasps echoed around her. Jake stood at the top, smug and unbothered. Tyler, his linebacker buddy, chuckled beside him. Ashley snapped a photo. "Careful, Rodriguez," Jake called out mockingly. "These stairs can be dangerous." Phones were out. Some filmed. None helped. Blood trickled from Maya's brow. Her shoulder burned. Her pride scorched. She stood slowly, gathering her things. The crowd dispersed like it had witnessed a halftime show, not an assault. But something shifted. It wasn't rage. Not quite. It was resolve. That night, in her room, Maya stared into her mirror. The bruises were bad, but what she saw wasn't damage. It was clarity. She opened a wooden box tucked deep in her closet, her father's parting gift before deployment. Inside, a pair of dog tags, a faded photo of the two of them at a self-defense seminar, and a sealed letter marked, "Open only when necessary." She opened it. Maya, if you're reading this, you've reached a moment where silence no longer protects you. Remember, you are not just my daughter. You are a Rodriguez. We do not cower. We do not tolerate injustice, but we lead with discipline. Be strong, but not cruel. Be fierce, but never without cause. Fight if you must, but don't lose who you are in the process. Maya folded the letter and stood taller. She went back to her closet and pulled out what she hadn't worn since they moved. Black combat boots, jeans that fit, and a fitted t-shirt her father bought her when she turned 16. The next day, Riverside High noticed. Heads turned. Same girl, but not quite. Her walk, purposeful. Her gaze, unflinching. Even her hair, twisted into a tight, no-nonsense bun, said she wasn't playing anymore. Jake noticed. Look who decided to dress up, he smirked. This time, Maya stopped, turned. Every day's special when you stop fearing cowards, she replied. Gasps, silence, then whispers. The hallway for once was hers. Later that day, Ashley cornered her in the bathroom. So what? You think you're tough now? She sneered. You're still the same charity case nobody. Maya didn't flinch. You're right, she said, calm. Same girl. The only difference? I'm done shrinking to make you feel tall. Ashley opened her mouth to reply, but Maya was already gone. The real reckoning came after school. Jake, Tyler, and Ashley followed her to the edge of campus. Rodriguez! Jake barked. Maya kept walking. You embarrassed me today, he said, closing in. That doesn't fly. She turned slowly. Calm. Centered. The crowd that formed around them wasn't the same as before. This time they weren't passive spectators. They were curious, ready. You embarrassed yourself, she said. Jake lunged. He never touched her. In one fluid move, Maya trapped his wrist, pivoted, and sent him tumbling to the pavement. Tyler reacted, slow and clumsy. Maya ducked his punch and landed 2 sharp strikes to his ribs. The linebacker dropped to a knee. 10 seconds. That's how long it took for everything to change. Ashley screamed. Jake wheezed. Tyler staggered. Maya stood, unshaken. Stay down, she said. But Jake wasn't done. Fueled by humiliation, he charged again. This time Maya ended it. One twist, one sweep, and Jake found himself in a perfect chokehold. I could have done this months ago, she whispered in his ear. But I didn't. Because I'm not you. She let him go. Jake gasped for air, staring up in disbelief. This ends now, Maya said, loud enough for all to hear. You leave me and everyone else alone, or next time I won't be as gentle. For once, Jake didn't reply. He walked away, defeated. The videos went viral, not online, but in whispers, in retellings. Maya wasn't just respected now. She was legend. Even teachers noticed. They started watching more closely. Students began standing up, picking up fallen books, shutting down cruel comments. One quiet victory turned into a ripple of change. 2 weeks later, Jake approached her locker, alone. He looked different, smaller, human. Rodriguez, he said quietly, can we talk? Maya didn't answer immediately. I'm sorry, Jake said, for the stares, the bullying, all of it. I was being a coward. She nodded slowly. You were, she said, but recognizing it? That's something. Jake sighed. If anyone messes with you again, they'll have to go through me first. Maya smirked. I can handle myself. Yeah, Jake rubbed his ribs. I figured that out. Before walking away, he turned. How did you learn to fight like that? Maya shrugged. My father. He taught me that real strength protects. It doesn't destroy. That night, her father called. I heard there was some excitement at school, he said. Just handled things the way you taught me, she replied. The part about not becoming what you fight? Especially that part. As she hung up, Maya realized something her father hadn't written in the letter. Sometimes the most powerful fights aren't the ones where you throw punches. but the ones where you change the outcome for everyone. Riverside High still smelled like bad pizza. The lockers were still dented. But the air had changed. People walked taller. Teachers listened harder. And Maya? She didn't need to be invisible anymore. She was never meant to be. She was a leader, a protector, and she had finally stepped into her power.